And we are live. Good evening and welcome to the first Lush Shack live chat of 2022. And we've got the same team as last year. We've got Goddess Andrea, we've got Nisanka, we've got Mitra, and we've got myself, the Love Engineer. But this first talk is going to be on energy, polarity, energetic attraction, the masculine, the feminine, what it is, what it's all about, how it works, and why it's really useful to understand what it is. So what is energy? According to Albert Einstein, everything is energy, and energy is everything. So we are energy. The masculine and feminine are also different kinds of energies. But I'm going to throw the ball directly over to Andrea to do a little bit more on two different energies.
Hi, happy 2022. When I work with energy, it's with the masculine or the feminine, we identify what comes up most for us and how we can balance it in the Tantra space. So when we're in our masculine energy, we feel like things have a task and they have to be done on time. We feel this control, this have to get it done. And that's when we know that we're spending time in our masculine energy. And in our feminine energy, we're a little bit more softer. I tend to use more of the feminine energy with my male clients because they don't really tap into that female soft space. Everything's a little softer. There's like more questions, more ability to see things beyond what they really are, beyond what's in front of you. And so we use our left side for our feminine energy and our right side for our masculine energy. So it's learning how to utilize both of those and break down that hard barrier of the masculine energy and allow that feminine in so that we can have a softer, different point of view side to us. And that's kind of how I work with it. So when we're doing soul gazing, I ask people to look into their left eye, because that brings in the softness of the woman, the feminine. And that's kind of how I see the masculine and feminine, and finding balance between both so that we're not being, as a woman, like I think of women, this goddess, that's just floating around and woo everywhere. And the man is like that solid grounding God. And she, as long as she has the ability to float about and be able to come back down into that space and be grounded a little bit more, then we're utilizing our masculine energy as well. Nisanka? Nisanka, we can't hear you.
Still can't hear you, Nisanka. So while Nisanka's just trying to sort out the microphone on her end, as Andrea said, we have the left brain, the right brain, masculine and feminine within all of us. And the way I talk about these two energies, if you imagine a magnet has a north pole and a south pole, they are always there. You cannot change it. It doesn't matter whether it's a tiny, tiny little magnet or a massive one. It's still got those north pole and that south pole. Opposite energies will attract. Opposite ends of a magnet will attract, whereas the like poles will push each other away. And it's very much the same within humans with dating and relationships and that kind of attraction. And Nisanka, we can hear you now.
Yes, I think you can hear my child bobbing along, singing. Yeah. I was just going to say, Alan, carry on and I'll join in when you finish.
I had finished for now.
Okay. So thank you for the opportunity. Hi, guys. And I agree with you and I agree with Andrea as well. And I can say from a personal perspective, I used to be in a lot of masculine energy, and people, when somebody introduced me to this masculine feminine energy to begin with at the beginning of journey, I did not necessarily understand what it actually meant, because we are often talked and told, and our perception and understanding in the society is more of about the gender, nothing to do with the energy, and energy and gender have nothing to do with each other. We all have masculine energy and feminine energy within us. I've got something I really like to share with you, if you don't mind. This author who's written this book, Jacqueline MacLeod, she's actually deep dived into social aspects of masculine and feminine energy, um, into politics, parenting, and all the aspects that we see today. And she's obviously come up with a really nice chart blending some feminine and masculine principles together and energies together and creating something beautiful, sort of right in the balance. And her idea is that we can balance this as much as we want to understand what our energy is, and we can nurture ourselves to be in the other side of the energy. So if you're predominantly masculine energy, then we can nurture ourselves to be in the feminine energy. We can train ourselves to be in the feminine energy, but at the same time we can strike a balance somewhere. So it's more of a dance, and I'm using my feminine energy language, aren't I, Andrea? It's more of a it's more of a dance. It's more of a dance, you know. And so can I give you a couple of examples what she has listed out, or can we come back to that later?
Go for it.
Go for it. So for example, we have intuition under feminine energy, right? So intuition is considered to be a feminine energy, whereas rational logical mind is considered to be masculine energy. But in the middle, what we have is sensible, right? What blend could be a sensible. And this is her research and this is her point of view. Obviously, don't necessarily have to be that you guys have to agree, because you come from different angles, you come from different disciplines. So do bring about a good debate about this. So it'd be interesting. Another example would be feminine energy is emotional, you know that's why I said don't be like a woman. That is one of the, I consider, especially in my culture, is um one of the worst insults that you can throw at a man, to you know um emasculate a man. Don't be like a woman, emotional, which is very wrong to do. And then masculine will be logical, and what we can have in the middle is awareness. We're aware. So it goes on and on and on. Another thing would be reflective under feminine energy, and reactive under masculine energy. And but in the middle, in the balance, we have proactive energy. So we're neither reflective nor reactive, but we are proactive. So the list goes on and on and on. So if anybody's interested, you can buy the book. I think Feminine Masculine Balance. I've interviewed her as well, so she's wonderful, wonderful lady. So from a personal perspective, I used to be in very masculine energies, like problem solving, going in and having arguments, and yeah, effort, and it was very tiring. I wasn't very comfortable with my feminine energy. But when I learned to be very comfortable with my feminine energy, something miraculous happened. It's the energy is calm, and intuition grows, rather than thinking in the mind itself. I'm so sorry about the show that's going behind the scene. rather than the mind itself, then you sort of listen to your body, and eye gazing becomes much more enjoyable. And it's wonderful, that eye gazing thing, isn't it? It's just so wonderful. You're just looking into somebody else's soul, and you're connecting at such a deeper level. So all these things become a lot more possible, and you're just kind of living in a very loving, kind of flowing energy. Just joy, just joy.
I think it's like joy, but with you're able to make those decisions with the intuitiveness
Yes.
and making a really good decision. Like I find that when I'm in my balance, that's when things really start to show up in my life that I'm asking for or wanting, or being able to communicate without the reactions. That's a lovely feeling when you step into allowing feminine and masculine to combine.
True.
So before I speak to your author's thoughts and perspectives, Nisanka, I'd just like to invite Mitra to share some words of wisdom, as we haven't really heard anything from him today yet.
Well, it's such a beautiful energy just being with you all. I think Andrea and Nisanka and yourselves have touched on the most important points already. If you go to cave times, when the man was going out to hunt and the woman was, looking after the children, whatever was the case, without each other, it's an incomplete circle. And we all have both. I work very closely with Kundalini energy and chakras, where we look at every phase, what Nisanka was mentioning, where your belonging, your creativity, your intuition, your love, and I think it's so beautiful that to bring it into harmony. So one is the giver, one is the receiver, one wants it, one wants to nurture it. And all these amazing qualities, if they can be brought into harmony, then Nisanka was talking about the flow. There has been a bit of in the last century or so, where it has been also used against one or the other energies. Like if you look in the last 20, 30 years, there has been a lot of revolution around why women can't be at the top CEO level jobs, and women had to start creating that masculine. It almost became as if I have to act to look like bold to be a CEO or to. However, both the energies are present. So if you've heard of Shiva and Shakti, Shiva Parvati, and if you look at some of the pictures of Shiva, he's half man and half a lady. And that's where I think I was saying earlier that I need feminine energy in my life. Otherwise, I am not complete. And I have been so lucky that so many of my mitras and friends have been able to complete that circle with me. And that's how I have been able to, in fact, either raise my energy or flow or feel and enjoy both sides of, so yeah, that's what I have to say at the moment.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mitra. Though I have to say, you do have feminine energy within you, and you do not need any other person to complete you. Although sometimes it does feel like you do. And I think we all have that at different times. And there is a lot to be said in the current environment where we're trying not to be too masculine, not to be too feminine, just to be perfectly balanced down the line, so that you don't have the arguments between the two and that you don't have the conflicts. And that's great. But also you don't have that polarity between the masculine and the feminine. you don't have that attraction. It's those opposing poles in a magnet that attract. It's the opposing energies that attract. And there's also a lot of people who are unaware of energies, which is there's nothing wrong with. And they're also unaware that energies can be wounded. And wounded energies will attract other wounded energies. So if you're going look back through your dating history, and it's like that person, that person, that person, that person, it's like the same person, but with a different face. It may be worth looking into the energy that you're in, the energy that you put out, which then attracts that same kind of thing. I think it was Albert Einstein that said to keep doing the same things and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. Yet how often do we do that, apart from all the time? And both energies have different behaviors that are associated with them. But behaviors can change. When you're in my masculine, I'll behave more one way. When I'm more feminine, I'll behave more of another way. At any time, those things can change, but who I am as a person is still going to be the same. My energy is going to be the same. It's just going to vibrate on different levels. And the higher vibration person I want to attract, I have to raise my vibration up to match. A bit like a TV channel. BBC One is always there, but if you tuned into ITV or another channel, you're not going to see it. It's only when those frequencies, those wavelengths match that we can properly attract the mate that we desire.
Can I
Like
add
Andrew's got
something?
some deep thoughts going on there.
Yeah. Can I add something, Alan, please? Or
What
has
would you like to
anybody
share,
got anything
Andrea?
else?
Nasenka, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I didn't realize that you were going to talk, so you go ahead.
Absolutely.
Well, I just adding on the relationship thing, that is like something that I'm seeing so much of right now, and people want different, they want to change. Pardon? They want to change and they don't know how to change it. So they're stuck, it feels like they're stuck in this place of either being too feminine or too masculine, not knowing how to create that shift and change. And really all that it is, it's in your mind. I mean, we have Mitra, you could start having a meditation time to be able to balance those energies. You can simply write it down. You can, if you're feeling like you're attracting the wrong person, start writing out the things that you do want to attract. Start getting to familiarize yourself with what you actually want. And creating that change is not exactly easy, but it is possible. So step out of whatever you're in and choose something different. Like, I know I was very uncomfortable, like Nisanka, in stepping into my feminine energy. That is like so scary, allowing yourself to trust yourself and listen to yourself. And then someone says, oh no, you can't do that. Well, why can't I do that? Well, my body is telling me to do that. So then you go ahead and do it, and whoo, you created a little change. And now the things that you want start to come into your life. How do you feel about that, Mitra or Nisanka? We've lost Alan, I think.
Would you like to go ahead, Mitra? Look like you've got something to say.
No, I'll wait for you. Go for it.
You know, Andrea, I agree with you. You know, I agree with you so much that we've got to step outside our comfort zone if we want to create change in our lives. Like you said, the reward we get when we step outside the comfort zone is amazing. However, the journey, as as awakening as it can get, it can also be hard. And when people recognize that the journey can be hard, these steps, actions, everything, understanding, hard, there is this tendency to step right back into our comfort zone and start, going in that hamster wheel, complaining, moaning circle. And coming back to what Alan said about we cannot create changes and improvements in our life without actually doing something different. Okay. And that difference doesn't have to be something significant. It can be something so minor, one step at a time. It can be a minor step. The important thing is to keep doing it and be curious as well. Be curious as well. One thing I often say and observe in people, and in this some of these discussions as well, is we give this idea, this is how it should be, this is how it could be, this is how we can do it. And we've got to question shoulds, woulds, and coulds. Okay, where do I stand as an individual in this? Does this speak to me? Does this affect me? Can improvements be made by doing this? We've got to be curious about things, and we should get really curious about things. The other thing is, Andrea, you mentioned, and Alan mentioned as well, that we attract these people. Another thing, something that to add to that is, yes, we do attract these people. At the same time, we cannot live in the fear of attracting these people, and it is something that we've got to go outside and do. We learn about ourselves. Why? By being with other people. We cannot do it on our own behind a closed door. We've got to attract these people. The difference when and having the self awareness and working with people is that working with professionals to help you out is that they'll be there to help you, and you'll be there to help yourself to recognize, yep, I've attracted another person. I'm triggered. I'm not healed yet. I've got to do something about it. And this something doesn't always have to be going out and paying a copious amount of money. That realization itself is more than enough. I've attracted a similar person, not for me. I'm going to put the boundary in. And if you are not able to do it on your own, ask for help. Ask for help. Have somebody accountable and make yourself accountable. The accountability in this journey is so important, because unless we are making ourselves accountable, I think we're going to be in this hamster. I'm so sorry. I'm going to let somebody else talk and mute myself.
It's absolutely fine. It's like I think the beauty of it is that it's not wrong, and the harmony can be achieved. There are ways, as even in tantra or in chakra or kundalini, if you see, I am, I feel, I do, I love, I speak, I see, and I know. And these are all seven different types of energies. Sometimes in love, while we were talking about the finding one, sometimes you can get very drained just giving and giving and giving and giving. But it's all the beauty is that the harmony can be achieved, the energy can be balanced, and a beautiful flow can be achieved. That is a good news. And there are lots of ways. I mean, meditation comes on one of the top levels. You can acquire laughter. You'll be surprised to know how amazing laughter is to balance your also giving into the nature. You'll be amazed how it can ground and balance you. And there are lots of different ways. Once we start to understand and In Shiva, both is inside me. Both is inside me, and I can balance both in here. And to start from that way, but you won't believe there are lots of people who struggle with balancing energies, understanding polarities, or even understanding the qualities and attributions, contributions of it. And we are discussing it here is an amazing thing. So thank you.
Thank you for being here, Mitra. So, which direction shall we go now? I just want to bring up something that can cause a lot of confusion for someone who's very new to these energy and polarity and things, because a lot of people I speak to think that when we talk about feminine energy, we're talking about a feminist and the feminist movement, whereas the two different things are very, very, very different. And I've heard a lot of people say that the feminist movement is trying to get women to be more in their masculine energies, which defeats the object of being feminine. So I'm just wondering if anyone would like to speak to that for a minute.
I can go for this one. The thing that I see about like the feminine and masculine, like you were saying, women need to be more masculine. In a way, I agree with that, because when we are being that goddess that's all like up in the air and not really being grounded at all, we're not in a space of decision making or that logical thinking, or we're just floating about. So I do agree that women need to step into their masculine a little bit more and become more aware of their logical side. But I also think men need to also step into their feminism. Is that a word? Um, their feminine side as well, so that they can soften their hard assed ways. It doesn't always have to be this way. When I was growing up, my dad he's a very masculine man, and it was do it again and again and again the same way. There was never an option to do something a different way, but he always expected a perfect result. And you were supposed to do it again and again and again until it was done to his satisfaction, even though like there's 250 ways to do dishes. There isn't one way to do anything. So when men get to step into that feminine, softer side, then that's when they can create a really big ripple of change, because they begin to understand that it's not about just one thing. There's many ways. There's different things. And as for like the feminist versus feminine, I've never really followed the feminist kind of movement, so I'm not going to comment really on that because it's not my area of expertise. To me, it just doesn't feel like anything I resonate with. So I don't pay attention enough to comment on that. But I do know about being a feminist is nothing to do with your feminine energy.
I might be able to contribute a little bit on the feminism actually, because I first of all I reject the masculine approach to feminism, because feminism isn't about proving that we can do what men can do. That is a very distorted, misleading perception of feminism movement. Feminism had to evolve because women never had rights. We didn't have the rights. We couldn't own a passport. We couldn't travel. We couldn't own land. We couldn't inherit the dead husband's pension, even, to live. Those were the rules in the past, and so feminism had to evolve. And the only way that could be heard in the past was to march, be aggressive, take all the aggressive steps, because when female females did speak up, their voices were never listened to or respected, so they had to take the aggressive form. We're living in a different world, although occasionally we may need some sort of approaches like that we don't necessarily have to do it all the time. We can do it through parenting, teaching, raising, male and female children, or those who identify as well that. And you can nurture both um, feminine and masculine energy through and through from a very young age, through language we speak, through allowing emotions, creating safe spaces, telling children that it's okay to be this way, and come away from trying to fix the behavior of children, which creates masculine sort of caged energy within them that is toxic. So come away from those approaches. So feminism, to me, yes, it has to carry on because the equality is still not there. Some Western countries may have approached a little bit of, maybe it's closing the gap, whereas some parts of the world, the gap is atrocious, unbelievable. So we have to carry on the movement. We may have to march occasionally and step into our masculine energy and make our voices heard. But feminism isn't about proving we can do what women can do. It's about having the choice. And where do I make that choice? I have the choice to be at home, be the homemaker, and I get the same respect for being that person. I can get to be the CEO of a company because I make a choice, and I don't have to go through all these battles and proving myself to be that person. And none should be judged based on the achievement. It should be a choice, and it's as simple as that. And that's feminism to me. So get curious about these slogans. Be the CEO. Don't be the missus. No, get curious. Get curious.
Follow your heart and do what is right for you.
Absolutely. 100%.
Thank you for sharing. That was beautiful. Now, I've always believed that women don't have to prove that they can do the same things as men. They're actually here to do all the things that men can't do, which is a hell of a lot, and vice versa. Because without each other, it just doesn't work. Every single human being on this planet is only here because of a woman and a man. And in some way, shape, or form, whether it's the natural way or with some kind of help, we are here because of man and woman working together. And that's what we need to do to make the world a much more beautiful place with a lot more healing to go.
Also, we men, like what Andrea was saying earlier, that we should not be scared of tapping into, the softer side. I was a few years ago. I was talking to someone, and there's also a little bit of a conditioning from many, many hundreds of years where the people will say, don't cry like a girl. Oh, for goodness sake, I want to cry, and let me cry. Don't be, man up, get on with it. I think a little bit of nurturing is required, and we men also need to understand that we have the energy inside us, and there's no need to be scared of tapping into being creative, tapping into being nurturing, and allowing our both the energies to work in harmony. So amazing.
Indeed, yes. There's the old man up thing. It's something that really gets to me. I'm not going to get that soapbox out, but that thing that we are taught, we're conditioned, we are led to believe that to be a real man, you don't feel, you just get on with it. What a load of bollocks. We do feel, we always will feel, we always will have emotions. We may not understand them and connect with them as well as women do, or as well as the feminine does, but they are there. They are always going to be there. And the more we shut them out, the more we bury them, the more we suppress them, the more it stays within and either comes out as some kind of physical illness or comes out through anger or frustration, which so much of the time gets vented at people who really don't deserve it, because they're the ones that love us. We don't do that with people we don't know most of the time. So if you're a man, feel. If you're masculine, feel. Learn to interpret what they are and what they mean. It does take time. It is possible. I am still learning that myself, as are a lot of other guys. But if you don't know how you feel, how's anyone else supposed to?
Exactly. And it's like, for me, I am so kind of excited about the new parenting movement too. It's just teaching your children to be human. There's no longer a gender attached to it. You don't have to be a man, you don't have to be a woman. We're finally in this space of like, you're human. Humans feel things, humans cry, humans have anger, humans have fear. All of these things are becoming so accepted. And for us older people, it's that have been trained and conditioned with all of these fears and stuff that we have to be a certain way, and we're not allowed to cry, we're not allowed to be a, have a feminine side for a man, or if you're being too masculine and you're, arguing your perspective or whatever too much as a woman, we get judged. But I love that we're now starting to raise humans instead of man and woman, because that really embraces both the masculine and the feminine. And I mean, in some of my soul gazing experiences with some men, they just break down and cry. I'm either going to get some giggles or I'm going to get crying. And then they're like, I don't know why I'm crying. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, let it out, man. It's probably like 25 years of built up feelings that you're letting out right now because you found this safe space. So just cry. And I'll just hold space while they cry it out. Like, go for it. It's welcome in my space. There's no judgment. Just be who you are and show that. To me, that's the best part of watching men step into their feminine, and even with the women, all of a sudden making a decision of like, no, I'm going to claim this, I'm going to do this, and then they do it. And that comes from the masculine side because it's a decision making, a logical thing. And then the cool thing about the women, though, they will celebrate it, where men, I find, don't really celebrate their wins. It's like, oh, it's what I had to do anyway. And where they could just be, yes, I did it,
Our celebrations tend to be down the pub with our mates, so you don't see them. Sometimes, not always, but. So. Which direction should we go now?
I just wanted to pick up on something that Andrea said, but I'm also concerned about the time. I think we're running out of the time as well. You're absolutely spot on about the parenting awareness that's, becoming more and more popular as well, because we're raising children and we were raised by our parents without that awareness, without that understanding. And we certainly pass these patterns down to our children through our behavior, through our language. That's big. And obviously, I've got a master's degree and a postgraduate and half a dozen diplomas in teaching and behavior management and child development and all of that. Something that's missing in all of my trainings is awareness of ourselves as educators and as parents. We are so focused on working with the mind and these theories of fixing the behavior and fixing the child when something happens. You know, we are now beginning to raise questions and get curious about, okay, well, something is not right here, something is not working. What's the gap? And the gap is that space that we didn't have growing up. That's the gap. Our understanding, our unhelpful patterns of behavior and language, that's the gap. When we have that awareness, we do wonders. Rather than going with prescribed approaches and prescribed theories of fixing the behavior, this has to be an intuitive dance. And actually, I'm coming back with a masterclass for parents. I thought I'll bring that up. This is the first time I'm sharing it. I've designed a 3-month masterclass for parents, but I'll share a lot more about that.
Yeah, behavior is a result or the fruit. The question is, what seeds have been planted for that to grow? When you change the seed, change the result, change the crop, change the results permanently. And on that note, I think we're close to being out of time. So I'm going to throw the ball over to Mitra just for some closing words as we work around, and then we will see you next month.
Giving, receiving, dancing, enjoying, laughing, meditating, loving. It's all an act of balancing the energy. And I think being open to our awareness, as Nisanka said, beauty is waiting to flourish. Life is waiting to happen. And I think tapping today into the energy was beautiful and some amazing contributions. So thank you. And thank you to anybody who's listening.
Any final comments or words, Nisanka, Andrea?
Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. Joy, life is beautiful. It's short, but every moment, savor every second of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this space. And I really enjoy our feminine and masculine balance we have here in this little Love Shack group. So thank you for sharing yourselves with me and allowing me to be in your space. This is just really wonderful. I love this day every month. I enjoy our conversation.
Thank you all for jumping on with me and being part of this crazy idea that was literally just an idea until I was sat in the middle of a campsite talking to Mitra. And thank you to everyone who is watching. And we will see you next month when we talk about something. Any requests, drop them down in the comments below, and you never know, your topic may get picked. See you later.
Perfect.
See
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.